Well, welcome to Fox League and to round 13 of this premiership where the NRL bubble could be about to burst. Serious biosecurity breaches have compromised the health of players and of staff and have threatened the integrity of this entire competition. It has been a very risky day in rugby league, and that's just to begin round 13 of this premiership. Good evening to you. Welcome to our coverage. Michael Ennis,
Morning.
Greg Alexander and Ben Ikin. Gentlemen,
we've brought the big guns in tonight, haven't we, Vaughan?
Just as well.
Yeah.
Just as well. Paul Vaughan and Wayne Bennett, they have been found to have contravened the NRL's protocol around COVID-19 security and are now serving a 14-day COVID hold. Ben Ikin, how does this happen?
I don't know how it happens. I made some phone calls today to get a sense of how strict and comprehensive the NRL have been in their approach to handling this situation. Each club has a biosecurity liaison officer, and it was said to me that these men and women across the 16 clubs are employed for the sole purpose of compliance and education. So making sure that the rules are followed, and the second part of that is to make sure that everyone inside the bubble understands the rules. So some of the messaging that's come out today, mainly from the Rabbitohs coach Wayne Bennett, that he was confused, it doesn't wash for me, because there are cheat sheets at every single club. I had a look at them, and two of the standouts were stay home and no restaurants and cafes. That's pretty clear to me.
So where's the confusion? You're not buying the fact that he thought he wasn't doing anything wrong?
He will say that, was it 3 weeks ago, that there was a shift in the protocols when we started to see things ramp up in Victoria?
Went back to the stage one,
yes,
where we started. There was a relaxation of the restrictions for about a month. That's when we had crowds come back and the players were allowed to go out to restaurants, but only with people from within their bubble. It was still difficult for them to mix with the general public. Yeah. They could go and play golf, they could go and do things, but they had to stick within the groups of the bubble. That changed to further lockdowns 3 weeks ago.
This is the NRL's official media release today. Off the back of these two breaches, the decision was made after the pair contravened NRL biosecurity protocols by dining separately at restaurants. Both Bennett and Vaughan must isolate from their respective squads for the next 2 weeks and test negative to COVID-19 at the conclusion of their COVID hold period before they return to their squads. Were you shocked, Mick, when you found out about today?
I was, Vaughan. I've been extremely proud. You know, I've obviously seen the detail that Ben's just spoken about, and also Greg, in terms of what it's like at clubland at the forefront. And the NRL has been so transparent in what's required from the players and the pressure that's been on those liaison officers to make sure that the players and the staff are abiding by those. The whereabouts, the daily whereabouts is so significant of where they've got to go and where they've got to be and how they've got to document it. But the fact that Wayne, and I'm a good friend of Wayne, but the fact of the matter is he's got it wrong this time. He simply got it wrong.
And he's the head coach. He's meant to be setting the example.
That's right.
He's meant to know and understand what the rules are. I mean, you knew there'd been a shift 3 weeks ago. So did you, Vonnie. So did you, Brandy. As did I.
Yeah.
So you would expect that the group of people that have effectively been asked to follow this, so an entire code doesn't get put at risk, you think would know that 3 weeks ago there was a shift made.
In both of these cases, they were dobbed in by a member of the public, which then asks the question, are more breaches being made that we don't know about?
In an ideal world, you would like to think that, you know, given that we've got 10 rounds into the post-COVID resumption, that we haven't had an incident, that the players and staff are doing the right thing. You've got to take confidence from that. But a day like today, and comments from Wayne Bennett like he made, that he would find it highly unlikely that everyone's been perfect with that, would obviously lead towards the fact that there would be some people out there that may not have abided by the rules.
I think out of 400, but that really isn't the point.
No, you're right.
Out of 400, there must have been some slip-ups, but these are the first that have been brought to the attention of everyone.
Well, the Paul Vaughan one has major game day repercussions. The Dragons are kicking off round 13 of this premiership. Here's Dragons fullback Matt Duffy.
Well, Matt Duffy, you lose one of your star forwards in Paul Vaughan tonight due to a COVID breach. What sort of a headache has this caused on game day?
Yeah, obviously it's unfortunate. You know, it was a bit upsetting news when we found out as a team, but you know, the boys are focused, and now Kate gets to come in and gets his shot for his debut at the club.
No Corey Norman either tonight, dropped this week. How have you adapted to yet another change to your spine?
Yeah, you know, me and Benny have played a lot of games over the last 3 years together, and me and Clooney have played tons of footy together as well. And I think, you know, when Tristan comes on the field, I think we've played a lot of footy with him as well. So we should be all right. We've trained well this week, and we're looking good. So it's exciting.
Well, Matt Duffy there, a bit of a shock and pretty upsetting news. Paul Vaughan caught having breakfast this morning at a Wollongong cafe. This was the official statement from the Dragons media department today. Paul Vaughan saying he's very remorseful for the reckless and selfish decision that he made. Everyone in the Dragons bubble, including himself, are well aware of the protocols in place, and he's very sorry for the harm that his actions have caused the club and his teammates. So obviously, that falls in line with what you're saying, Ben Ikin, is that everyone is well aware. There shouldn't be any confusion. It is very clear cut. So why is it happening? Yeah,
look, I think Wayne was trying to be a bit evasive today. I mean, at one point he was confused about the rules. Then later on in his press conference, I know we're going to listen to that in just a moment, he's very confident that he knows the rules. The more concerning thing for me is that the talk about going to the kebab shop and out for other meals, you know, without any timelines added to them, is how often has the super coach been out and about, you know, breaking protocol, and what ramifications does that have if the NRL start to investigate, look a bit deeper and realise there's been multiple breaches? Because I haven't landed on this exactly, but my understanding is because Wayne was at the restaurant yesterday and coached the team today, that he wouldn't have been in an infectious period. Therefore, the Rabbitohs players don't need to get tested. But if they start to dig, and Wayne's been a man about town for the last 2 or 3 weeks, you know, what do the NRL do with that? I mean, the Rabbitohs, you know, have had multiple games, played against multiple teams, and I just don't know how far this spills out. So now we're kind of in a holding pattern, I would think. It sets a horrible example.
We are going to talk to the acting NRL CEO, Andrew Abdo, and that is a very fair question. How far do you dig into Wayne's past when he does have an admission that he has been out and about and he wasn't sure that he was doing anything wrong? This was Wayne Bennett today.
I went for lunch yesterday at Grappa, yeah, I did. If it was a breach, I wouldn't have done it. I didn't think it was a breach. I went there with my partner, who I live with, just me and her, and something to eat there, and that was it. I go shopping. I go out to different places to get meals at times. You know, I go to the kebab shop and get a kebab. There's many people there, as I found in the restaurant yesterday. So the protocols are changing all the time. At times I have been out when I thought it was right. I still thought it was right yesterday. So being candid with you all here, and you know, we do live in a bubble, but I'm sure we haven't been perfect with it. I'm sure that we've had our moments, all of us, and but basically we do comply right across the board. And as I said, but to think that we've all been perfect with it, no, that wouldn't be the fact.
I just asked if that was your first time that you've been since the bubble's been in place.
Well, yeah, well, it could have been 1 or 2 other times, same situation. As I said, I think I was doing anything wrong, so I wouldn't have done it if I thought I was doing something wrong. I'm confident I do know the rules, and as I said, I just went for lunch yesterday, 2 of us, someone I live with. I know I'm still allowed to eat, aren't I? I think we're getting a bit small-minded here at the moment, so let's move on, eh?
Yeah, Wayne Bennett there confessing that there was probably 1 or 2 other times in a similar situation. He wouldn't have done it if he thought he was doing anything wrong. He'd been out shopping, he's been to other places to get meals, he's had kebabs, and of course the confession that, look, we probably haven't gotten everything perfect this whole time. Any concerns for you, Mick, that this competition is a house of cards and a biosecurity breach of this magnitude could bring the whole thing down?
I don't think so, Vaughan. I mean, the challenge is that, obviously, as Ben said, if you continue to dig and try and look where Wayne has been over those times, given the fact that he says that he has been for other meals, it is obviously concerning. I don't know whether he's talking about that period that Brandy touched on where there was that 3 or 4 weeks where there was that opportunity to be able.
He didn't know what he was saying then. That's the first time I've seen Wayne Bennett absolutely bamboozled in front of the cameras. He really didn't know what he was saying. Yeah. He knew the rules. Yeah. He's confused about the rules. He didn't know what he was saying. He was paddling then.
Yeah. Which is a very rare occurrence in a lifetime of rugby league.
It's unusual, but
he knows he's got it wrong. Yep. That's the truth of it.
Yep. And there was no excuse. He couldn't come up with an excuse.
He said today, I spoke to Wayne this afternoon, he said, look, I've got it wrong. I did the wrong thing. I've got to isolate for 14 days. It's simple as that.
And to use Paul Vaughan's words, what Wayne Bennett did was
Yeah.
reckless and selfish.
Yeah.
Well, Fox League's Sam Burgess is in the South Sydney coaching staff and inside the Rabbitohs bubble. Sam joins us. Sam, it's a very serious breach today. What was the reaction from within the club and from the playing group?
Oh, hey, Vonnie and team. We were pretty calm, really. I guess as the days unfolded, it's the story's grown as well. We trained and finished this morning at 11:30. So, look, it is what it is. I think you summed it up pretty well. Wayne's made a mistake. The protocols are changing. Our rules and regulations are changing, as are everyone else's lives at the moment. So there's going to be mistakes, but as Paul Vaughan and Wayne have found out, it's taken seriously, and we have to abide by the protocols.
So, Sam, is your assessment, because I know there's a biosecurity liaison officer at every club, that perhaps the education hasn't been good enough?
Oh, I'm not saying that, Benny. Look, it's a fluid situation. It's constantly moving. As we all saw, whilst the game was on hold, things were changing daily. I mean, look, things are a bit more settled at the moment. But it's human nature. We fall back into old habits to do things that we see other people doing, and people make mistakes. As a club, we just have to take it and move on at the moment. But we've got a big task tomorrow night. The Broncos will be pretty fired up, I'm guessing. So it's a good time for us to reset.
So can you just paint a picture for me, though? So this biosecurity liaison officer is full-time. So just give me an example of what they do on a day-to-day basis, because I know they're with the club and the team day-to-day.
Oh, well, I'm sure they're all different at different clubs. If you want to find out, I don't know what they do.
At the Rabbitohs?
Yeah, I know what they do, but I don't know the entirety of their role, Benny. Like, if you really want to find out what they do, you're probably better off getting to the NRL.
Sammy, has there been talk amongst the South Sydney players and coaching staff that you're in a danger of someone else being stood down because of what Wayne's done?
No, we wrapped up today at midday, so we wrapped up at midday today, and then it's just been, I guess, evolving, but not really. I mean, the players have been good from everything I understand. So I guess, if anything, it's a good reminder for all the players and everyone else in the game that how strict the rules are and what we've got to abide by.
Sam, it's Mick. I mean,